Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Pleasure Pulse. I'm your host, Roma Richardson, and I'm so happy to have you join me for another conversation. I am excited to get into today's topic, which is a kind of continuation from the last time we were here. So, as usual, I like to take a short break to let everybody know that Pleasure Pulse is live. So, we will do that, come right back, and get into tonight's discussion. So, stay tuned.
It's time that we realize that we must work together to thrive as we know it, the sky and below it. Could I never have more wonder, yeah, with life and all you see and the climate's changing.
But hope is remaining.
That we can't ignore the future, it depends on you and me. One chance, all that we got. One voice, together we start. Take care, the world where we live. Permite a todos vivir. Tomamos la oportunidad para guardar la humanidad. And I must leave no one behind because we are. I'm one climate, one Caribbean. One climate, one Caribbean.
This message is brought to you by the Caribbean Community Climate Change Center under the EU GCCA Plus project, funded by the European Union.
Welcome back to Pleasure Pulse. I'm your host, Roma Richardson, and you are joining us on ZIZ Radio, ZIZ on Facebook and on YouTube. On Facebook, I believe. Definitely on YouTube and definitely on radio. 96.1, we are here. Another conversation about something to do with pleasure, something to do with sex, and this time something to do with teenagers, which is always exciting conversations. Although I wish that I could have a teenager here to join me, but I think that would be may not if we reach there yet, but hopefully we'll get there. Anyways, I'm joined by my guest, whom I'll ask to introduce
Good
herself.
evening, everyone. I'm Evelyn Huggins Forbes, but I prefer Shaniel. I'm a guidance counselor at the newly renamed Dr. Denzel Douglas Secondary School, and I'm excited to join Roma once again for another episode of Pleasure Pulse.
Thank you for accepting my invitation. This is, I was still trying to remember, what number is this that you've been here?
Maybe like third.
Yeah, I was
need
like,
to go back to Freedom FM days.
mm-hmm.
Fifth.
Okay, so it's been a while, and of course I've known you even longer, and I'm always grateful when you accept my invitation to come on Pleasure Pulse, as well as everybody else, because I look forward to these conversations, and I know that they are helpful to people listening. So tonight we are talking about sex and youth dating. And a couple weeks ago, and that would have been the week before National Heroes Day, I was talking to Lucine Pemberton Vaughn, whom everybody knows. And we also talked about sex and youth dating, but more of the safer sex, protection, kind of side of it. So I wanted to talk to you as a guidance counselor in the schools, because you are in the throes, the midst of young people and all of their feelings. I remember being young, and it wasn't easy to navigate a lot of those sometimes new feelings, unfamiliar feelings, uncomfortable feelings, all of the things that you're going through, plus your parent over you like, stop, look, boys. She didn't exactly set up, but that was basically it, like you're trying to just survive as a young person. And based on the times that we are in now, I feel like it's even harder to be a teenager, because at least we didn't have records of our mistakes.
That's
Yeah.
yeah.
So, what, I think the good place to start, what does teen dating look like now compared to previous generations?
Okay. Well, I find it interesting that we even using the term dating because I don't think we have a dating culture.
No, we don't, but I just saying.
But I understand. I would say what it looks like now. Possibly it does have some similarities to, I guess, when we were younger in terms of, attraction is biological. So I think one of the first things we have to acknowledge is that it's inevitable to start feeling these unfamiliar feelings of attraction during adolescence. But what we see now, back in the day, I guess we used to not be as open about it. Now I find that young people are more open to share how they feel. They're more open to, I guess, same-sex relationships, are at least indicating, divulging if they have an attraction to somebody of the same sex. They're more open with that. And then, of course, we can't ignore the introduction of technology and social media. It's a huge part of our lives now, and the dating scene is not exempt. You find that a lot of young people are in relationships, sometimes with persons they've never met in person, or it sort of influences how fast they move into the relationship. Because, technology does allow us to be intimate, even if you're not in the same setting. And back in the day, I grew up around the time when nobody had no cell phone, and you come home from school and maybe you pick up the landline and you call somebody. It's simply restricted to communication in school, or you're passing notes and those type of things.
MSN. We had MSN.
We had MSN, yes, but I had dial-up in us, so
Okay.
you had to plug out the phone to plug in.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not as, no, you had
as
MSN,
easy.
but we had desktops. You have your phone.
Yeah, it's not as
So-
easy. And you had to wait for the person to come online.
All those things. So it's more like the person who you're attracted to in a relationship with, they're far more accessible now. So I find that they move faster. It's more hot and heavy because everything happens so fast. So I feel like those are some of the major differences that I see when it comes to young people dating.
Okay. And what have you found has been the impact of dating in your teenage years or teen dating? Because lots of people have different, opinions on it. Some parents, I think, like a lot of TV that I probably, we grew up watching was very much like, you're not allowed to date, especially to girls, you're not allowed to date until you're 18, until you're out of this house and things like that. So I think it probably was similar. I don't know if I got any, you're not allowed to date until when. It was just like, don't even think about it.
I find, well, in terms of the impact, I think it does have its place in terms of helping you to develop like social skills and recognize what you like and appreciate and what you deserve and all those things. However, like everything, there's a spectrum. You have the positive impact, you have the negative impact. What I also observe on the flip side is, I think you usually see this with young adults where they have a bad experience, so they write off things like, I done with man cars. I find that we have a lot of young people in schools who actually reach that point that point where they're saying, they're done, like everything happens.
They're sworn off of
they're sworn off
relationships
because of whatever experiences they would have had. So a lot of experiences that they come on earlier, I guess, when they're not mature enough to handle I don't want to say consequences, but the inevitable
to understand that heartbreak
and stuff. So they make decisions to swear it off, I guess, prematurely. Again, with the social media, and you mentioning earlier, I don't know if you had said it on air or off air, but the fact that we were allowed to make our mistakes kind of in private. Now, in the introduction of social media, the mistakes following you around, because there's a digital footprint, and with things moving so hot and heavy and fast, you have a lot of young people falling victim to like sextortion, and that's basically where you become so intimate that you trust somebody enough to share intimate photos and videos and those things, and they don't disappear. The trust is broken. Young people are essentially the prefrontal cortex underdeveloped. That's judgment, and they don't make the best decisions, but then these decisions following them around. So I feel like it does have some a positive impact in terms of learning about yourself and self-awareness and what you like in a partner and those things, but then also this negative impact as well, moving so fast and hot and heavy that you find yourself making very extreme decisions in terms of what you think you like because you were hurt this one time, or again these mistakes following you, resurfacing. I often tell colleagues we shouldn't really judge young people too harshly because we don't know what it's like to navigate adolescence in their world.
No clue.
Like, I would often ask, and if you had a phone, what you would do with it?
I mean, I can't say that because a lot of these things aren't new, right? Like they were happening in different ways or to different degrees. So perhaps they hadn't proliferated like they, have now. Perhaps because everybody didn't have a phone, it was like few and far between that you might have some revenge porn or sextortion cases. But some of them were there, and some folks, did, participate, right?
Yeah.
It's just that between the two of whoever involved, that trust was maintained, it wasn't broken and things like that. So it's like it's not necessarily a new activity. It's just that the environment is different, the tools are different, like the quickness with which you can do things is also different. But I also appreciate how many young people are taking steps to, ensure that they can participate in what I want to participate in, but try to take steps to keep themselves safe, like one views or like things like that, like those are that's evidence of like young people understanding, oh, this thing is possible, I don't want it to happen, but I still feel like I desire to participate in this way, which is interesting, an interesting dynamic, and not totally foolproof because other people could just take pictures on another phone and things like that. But we ain't getting into all of that yet. So the impact for you has been, across the spectrum.
Yeah.
When my guest was here last, we talked about dating being towards a particular end, like marriage, and so that's not the reality for everybody. Teen dating is what it's like.
Listen, I've seen teens celebrate like big celebration that they've been together for like a month and those.
Oh my goodness, that's so cute. And the proposals and so that happen. They don't be grand. I don't know. I know that'll be grand on social media. I don't know if that'll be grand here.
I've never witnessed
one.
I don't think I've ever witnessed any proposals, to be honest. But I have witnessed is like grand gestures for like birthdays and those type of things.
And 1 month anniversary.
1 month anniversaries. Like when I tell you some of these trends be very extreme with the ends they go to make their partner feel appreciated and valued and those things. But it's not. I don't want to trivialize. I'm not going to trivialize what their experience is.
Yeah.
What I can say, though, is that, no, I don't get the impression that the end goal is like marriage, or I at least I haven't had a conversation with a teen about like such in a while to say, like, I feel like this is the one for me.
Yeah.
This is what we want. No, I haven't gotten that. I feel like I don't know if the end goal is to be a couple goal, because that's a trend also. To be
I know
couple
it's a trend, but I didn't realize it was among teenagers too.
Yeah, man. To be relationship goals and everybody look up to you as a couple.
Everybody in the school.
Not only school, I mean, with social media.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
it's
The
just-
world is your oyster.
Exactly. So, at least among young people.
Yeah.
In general. I think maybe could be one of the goals to be
That's-
seen as the couple who.
That's interesting. I think when you're a teenager, 1 month is an accomplishment.
Yeah.
Because, them relationships is like, this morning you get together, and by the afternoon, you
So, yes.
congrats to the one. The 1 month, the couple celebrating 1 month anniversaries, you did it. Sorry.
And then even more rarely, you see those who maintain the relationship even after high school and
Yeah.
into college. And so, I mean, it's real, but it's not non-existent. You have those.
Yeah.
also.
So that is, to me, evidence of like what you said, it's about getting to know who you are,
Yeah.
and what kind of things you like, but in a very, not unserious, but in a very, let's just say, teenage appropriate kind of way. Like you're not making any lifelong commitments or anything, but you're starting to feel whatever feelings, and you're beginning to explore
Yeah.
those feelings. And I feel like that's okay.
I think so too. Actually applaud parents who not go out and say essentially like, I have no problem with them dating, but the ones that acknowledge at the very least that it's unfair to have your child not even be able to like express the fact that they are attracted to, like, to just act like these feelings are non-existent.
Yeah.
I feel is extremely unfair.
I think when people, well, part of that is that we treat, there's a lot happening, right? One of it is like the total discomfort with the idea of young people having sex. That's one. Though we know that all young people are not having sex, and all young people who are dating are also not having sex. People can be dating and it be a non-sexual relationship.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think same like way that we have the attitude toward teen dating, like, everybody consent, do it, or like the numbers are so inflated, the numbers are so big. How typical or common really is teen dating?
I don't
And
think.
you can speak for your school, obviously.
Yeah, it's my school I'm thinking about. To be honest, I don't think I could give a statistic. To say, I would just say it is common. It is a common phenomenon, as it's always been. I don't think my school is any different to any other school. I can't honestly say, half of the teens in school are dating, 3/4. I honestly can't say, but I'll just say it is quite common. At least if they don't come outright and say it, they're not dating somebody in the school who might know. Eventually, in having a conversation with them, if they don't have if they're not in an exclusive relationship, they will say things like, well, our vibes, I had like this person I used to talk. So it is something that's happening among them. I would say maybe most of them in terms of expressing attraction, maybe not being in something exclusive, like you're saying like, this is my boyfriend, this is my girlfriend. I'm not saying that they're serial dating either, but just the fact that there's that interest and they're exploring it to some degree or the other. I would say most of them are exploring it at some level.
Yeah. Which is okay
I
to
think so
do
too.
at that age, and I think just like with anybody else, because adults also can benefit from guidance when it comes to creating and maintaining healthy relationships. So that's not anything that's unique to teenagers, right? And providing that help and support and so on to learn who you are, to learn what you like, to start to build the habits of healthy relationships for when we get older. Because I think what happened to is like people shield you so much from even being able to acknowledge your very real feelings of, oh, I think that person is cute. I don't like that person. Whatever it is. That alongside, the young people who might not have any, romantic feelings for anybody, because people are aromantic,
Yeah.
people are asexual, and all of those things, right? So for the people who are experiencing those romantic and sexual feelings, that is, should I just say par for the course? Like, that is okay,
It
that
is,
happens
'cause,
in...
I mean, I don't want to stress, but I had an interesting
No
conversation
stress.
today. I had an interesting conversation today, and it was along the lines of a couple who had gotten married and went on the honeymoon and didn't consummate the marriage on the honeymoon, or even like months after, because of discomfort on one of the on the female's part, because she was not allowed to date and explore and all those things. Like, she had a lot of difficulty even being intimate. And this is not saying that teens should go out and be intimate, but I also think that these are some of the issues that adults might face simply because they didn't get the opportunity to at least be able to articulate and express
Yeah.
these type of attractions. And like, really, because all of it is about being self-aware and those things, and you didn't get the opportunity to do any self-discovery, so now you're thrown into a situation that you can't navigate. And I think ultimately the marriage didn't last because the male was on the husband was one place and the wife was somewhere completely different, based on the experiences and what they were allowed to do as a teen in terms of exploration. So it is important, not saying that they should go out and be intimate, I'm not saying that at all, but again, I think it's important for them to have this space to at least and have the conversation and get some guidance. And I'm not disregarding, like you said earlier, that it's an uncomfortable conversation to have, but at least acknowledge, at the very least, like, I know, like, Roma, I know you really like this person, you have feelings and stuff, but I'm really comfortable talking about it right now. At the very least.
Yeah.
And not make them feel like an alien. You're supposed to do that, don't do that.
Yeah.
You're wrong, you're out of place and stuff. Like, those aren't giving, that's not giving them the tools that they would need as an adult.
Yeah. Yeah, I think those are such good points, especially, the point about maybe it being an uncomfortable conversation, but a necessary one, because everything is about providing tools for people to be able to navigate life on their own.
And then this sharing of tools shouldn't start in adolescence, because you realize that, oh gosh, they like somebody else, scared, they're gonna like somebody, so let me talk to you now. I feel like the conversation first starts with values, to assist with self-discovery, what's important to you, because if you recognize what's important to you, whether it's respect, honesty, determination, all these things, being disciplined, it would guide whatever decisions you make as it relates to not only like academics, but interpersonal relationships, romantic relationships, all these things, all these decisions we make are guided by values, and the conversation does not start during the teen years, these things start from
Small,
small.
yeah, from
And-
baby, but not maybe not baby,
But
you know.
yeah, you start from early, and I don't know if I jump in the gun, but it's just important for parents to start having these conversations before it happens, and not like, oh, who you like and what's going on, but creating the atmosphere for them to at least be able that if I feeling something new, I discover something new, I could come and say it to you.
Yeah,
And not just physical discoveries, but emotional discoveries. So I have this feeling, and like, this is how I feel, and be able to come and share it.
yeah. And maybe I never had this feeling before, because we're talking about teenagers and feelings and stuff, but a lot of these feelings you start to feel from much younger.
Yeah.
You know, like in primary school, I remember being like, ooh. like you know, remember when you were in like, as young as kindergarten, like grade 1, and so when somebody cutting cake and you want to cut the cake
With
with
the
them,
person.
and like all of those were
I remember like saying I had a boyfriend and them things.
Probably.
From like kindergarten. So that's
probably,
the boyfriend.
and I
Like,
think even in preschool, like, and they'll be like, yeah, those are my girlfriends, and those are my, boyfriends, and all of these things. So that happened from young. I mean, what you do with those feelings, and maybe the intensity of those feelings changes as you get older, but the feelings exist.
yeah, and
across
nothing-
ages.
Nothing is wrong with them.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah, so we need to like normalize that. And also, yeah, as you said, you know, create the environment for conversations to happen, because you could start now, you know, as old as your child is, your ward is, still start now. But if you have a child who is younger, like, don't feel like it is too young to start. I remember like watching Gilmore Girls. You watch Gilmore Girls?
No, but I've heard many good things.
I never watched it, right? Up until
Because
a
it's
few
they're
years
talking a
ago.
lot.
Up until a few years ago, I was like, I'm not going to watch another white girl story. And then I was like, And I started to watch it, and I was like, this is just like me and my mommy. And then I fell in love with the show. I watched the whole thing. So essentially, you know, there's Lorelai Gilmore and her daughter Rory, who she named after herself. So she's a junior. You don't usually find women juniors, so it was cute. Anyways, so the mother was she got pregnant as a teen, and they kind of have a not typical relationship between mother and daughter. They're very close. She is very open with her daughter, and the daughter is aware that, you know, she had her as a teenager, and the mother wishes something different for her daughter. So she's very open with her about sex and relationships and so on. She's like, whenever you're ready, I just want you to come and tell me. Like, me ain't got stop you or anything like that, but I want you to come and tell me so that I can help you feel prepared for whatever it is, you know, so that you could have whatever condoms you might need. You could be emotionally prepared, all of them things. I don't know if she planned to give her tips and stuff, but, you know, just so that she can be prepared. Had conversation to have, and it wasn't like one conversation. You know, this is something that she talked to her about over the years. Unfortunately, it kind of just happened on the fly, so she wasn't able to tell her, but she told her after. So it's like the mother builds that rapport, that relationship with her daughter before they got to that stage. You know, that level of comfort was always there, because the last thing you want is for your child to be in a situation and they feel like they can't come to you. That's the last thing.
I see that very often.
Yeah.
One of the things that maybe I could have mentioned it earlier, and I don't think anything we're talking about here is new except for the introduction of technology and social media. But one of the things that I would have observed, I don't know if it's an impact or what it looks like now. I'm sure it look like that in the future, but what I've witnessed is a lot of relationships also where they don't know how to manage conflict, and it becomes violent. Like, I've seen that a number of times, and these students in these situations, these teens in these situations, they are in these situations because they don't have the guidance, or they can't go and tell the persons who the parents are, older siblings are, whomever is at home about what's going on, and learn how to navigate it.
Cause the first thing they might say is,
Yeah,
what you doing in
that.
relationship?
Exactly.
Go ahead.
So, but that's exactly what
Yeah.
I'm getting at. Like they don't have the guidance. So, like you said, the last thing you would want is that your child is in a particular situation, although you may not approve, because I think a child should be able to have the conversation with the parent fully well, know, like, you know, me and approve, you know, but understand that I could still come to mommy, I could still come to daddy. I know you don't approve, but this is what happening with me, and parent being able to help them to navigate. So yes, they need to build that kind of, like, create that atmosphere. Maybe I need to watch some more Gilmore Girls because I have 2 daughters and me and the guidance counselor. So all the time.
You don't tell me about
I'm not the guidance counselor, and maybe I need some assistance parenting too.
And that's fine. I mean, therapists that have therapists, they don't therapize themselves.
There's no rule book for parents. So parents
there's
who
not.
listen,
My
nobody
mother
judging,
always
we're
said
not
that.
judging at
Always says
all.
that parenting doesn't come with a manual.
No.
You're doing things on the fly. And I think, like, one of the things that Lorelai also stressed in Gilmore Girls was, like, we're learning alongside each other.
Right.
Like, me and you ain't know what you're doing, and I ain't know what I'm doing. So we are a team.
Right.
The 2 of us confused together. So let us work together. And that's what it has to be. Is like, you have never met me before this lifetime, and I have never met you, you know, before in this lifetime. So I have to grow to know you just like how you had to grow to know me, and we really can do that together. So I mean, you mentioned the teen violence that happens, you know, in romantic relationships. I think that is definitely I'll say underreported. I don't mean like report in terms of the police station, but we don't have a full grasp of
No, we don't. Because the ones that I would have been privy to is that I guess I would have witnessed it simply because I think they kind of forget that I could see. like so they're behaving, they're interacting, and like where my office is, like I could see what's going on, and I would hardly ever intervene because I mean I observing, and then I would see, and then that's when I would intervene and just call them in for a conversation. And then you realize that this is the norm. We find out about it way after the fact. So for those that you haven't observed for yourself, you find out about it way after the fact in a session or something, and then they would indicate, okay, well, this is the first time it happened, this is the second time it happened, and these children are in full-blown abusive relationships, and were trying to navigate it on their own. They were experiencing all the things that adults would experience in terms of shame and guilt, and there's, can't remember the particular term, but almost the feeling like you deserve the treatment and all those things, and had nowhere to turn, and it's only on when they come out of it for whatever reason is when they're able to talk about it. So I feel like the fact that I've seen it with my own eyes and heard it means that it's possibly far more common than we would recognize.
Yeah, I remember there was this video on YouTube with some conditions, and the girl was pranking her boyfriend. That you saw it?
Yes,
and he responded with violence, and everybody kind of was like, ha. And I was extremely concerned, but it was like, it almost seemed like it was okay. And I think just like how people make statements and jokes like, don't do XYZ, otherwise, you know, your partner gonna bang you and things like that. And it's like, yeah, if you do, if X, then Y. And that's just the way that it is. And it is okay for it to be that way.
And let's not disregard that a lot of females.
Of
also
course, yeah,
initiate
of
it
course.
to, like,
This was a specific,
I know the
example.
specific
But yeah,
example, but
of
I
course.
also feel like part of the navigating relationships also is, again, how do you manage conflict
Yeah.
without becoming violent? Because, I mean, romantic relationships come with big feelings, very, very big feelings, and big feelings again come with actions, because how we think affect how we feel, and
Yeah.
how we feel drives how we behave. And to actually behave in a way or manage conflict in a way that's going to have a positive outcome in terms of maintaining a healthy relationship, it don't come natural.
Yeah.
It doesn't come natural unless it's modeled.
Yes, and I was
Yeah.
going to say, one thing that we have to remember is that, young people are dating, experiencing these feelings, having these relationships within the broader society. So it is what you see as relationships around you is what you're enacting, what
Yep.
you see happening in your home,
Exactly.
between your parents, if you have parents, a couple living there is what you will reenact,
Exactly,
in
because
your
it's
teen
gonna drive your
relationships.
expectations of the relationship.
Yeah, and we shouldn't think that, because there is young people and they should stay in children's places, whatever, that they can say, oh, these are adult behaviors and these are teenage behaviors. None of them things, that's not how it works. Like, wherever
And
you
the reason
see.
it doesn't work like that also is because remember these adolescents in moratorium, at one time you say keep a child's place.
Yeah.
The next time you ain't big.
Yeah, yeah. So it's confusing.
It's very
Yeah.
confusing for them.
Yeah. So what are some other common concerns? I mean, you didn't say that this was a concern that teens bring to you necessarily, but what are some concerns that teens bring to you about dating?
Some common concerns. One, I think one of the major concerns or conflicts teens would have with regards to dating is when the parent or guardian isn't in support of it. It adds an extreme layer, like another layer of stress, to say the least. And many of them feel misunderstood as a result and disregarded. So I think that's something that's common. Another one is navigating the heartbreak and the hurt that could come from being in a relationship. I find that a lot of times they're trying to tell, not trying, but as helping them to see, like to normalize the pain and the hurt that they're feeling, and then how do you balance these intense feelings and still go about your day? Because I get my first heartbreak as an adult, and I actually reached by the school doctor thinking that I got an anemic thing, and he watched me and the doctor was like, "You sure you ain't heartbroken?"
I went to my therapist. I
went to a physical doctor because
you felt like you.
my heart literally break. And so I said, "Oh, this is what I mean." After he didn't tell me, I had anemic episodes before, so that's why it manifested as I meet by the doctor, and the doctor checking me. He's like, "You're not anemic." And he said, "You sure you ain't heartbroken?" And that's when he catch me like, "Oh, this is how we feel." I come to class and so like these teens experiencing these big, like these huge feelings, and I guess I don't want to call heartbreak a rite of passage, but I mean
Sometimes it happens.
It happens.
Yeah.
And not having the support or being able to balance, that's one of the common, I would say those two common challenges. And then things like conflict in terms of your jealousy, like your confidence being shaken by certain experiences. I've seen them come to try to deal with that also. So yeah, and then few and far in between you had those in terms of violence. Or the other thing is, like, a couple of them, well enough, not only the heartbreak, the fact that I guess as an adult you have a better opportunity to control your environment and your situation. But here
yeah.
you're sitting in the same classroom
Right.
with this person who you would have been.
And now they're over there with their new.
Yeah, that's one. Or like they're in the school with it. And we've also had situations like there's a breakup, but then the other person is like almost like going out of your way to be mean or spiteful and those things. So having to navigate that is another thing that they will come.
Okay. I'm glad that you raised the issue of heartbreak, because I do have a question about heartbreak as a formerly heartbroken teen and adult. I feel like I've had a lot. Listen, I had one heartbreak one time that had me just walking aimlessly across the bypass. I was just walking. And then but that one, right? You know what really helped me? Because, you talked about the support that you need when you're heartbroken. What helped me, I remember I was home. And I was just sitting on the couch. And my mother was there and I was just bawling. I was just bawling. And then my brother come home and he was like, what happened to you? And he was like, I'm heartbroken. Like, I am devastated. I was so devastated. Like, heartbreak, it takes a lot to recover from. So imagine teenagers who feel like this is the biggest, maybe first, a lot of them feeling they have ever experienced in their life, and they ain't had nobody ever tell them, actually you do get over it. You can heal, you can move on. So what advice would you give to teens who are dealing with heartbreak or rejection for the first time? And of course, we might not have so many teens as we do parents listening to it, so it is like, what would you tell parents to tell their teens who are dealing with heartbreak or rejection for the first time?
Without being cliche.
Yeah.
But I mean, time will heal, and that's the most cliche statement you could make. But it's okay to feel all the feelings. I've had to remind teens to be gracious with themselves, and because a lot of guilt is grief essentially. So
Yeah.
I guess you call it disenfranchised grief, which is like grief for somebody else may not be able to see or understand. But nonetheless, it's then they're mourning a loss of something. So kind of like walk them through, let them know what to expect, the feelings they're gonna get, like anger, guilt, and all those things. Sometimes when they're in the stage where they feel guilty, like it's my fault and stuff, you kind of redirect them to help them to reframe the situation, to see things as a learning experience and stuff, and allow them to feel, do things like journaling and those things. For the parents who are listening, sometimes well, once I tell you, so causing that. But I mean, if you ever, any adult who experience heartbreak, that's punishment enough. Another thing that we want them to understand also is that to take your time and not jump into another relationship to kind of take away from the heartbreak, because I know that's something that we do.
Yeah.
I think there's actually a saying, it had kind of sound funny, but I can't remember it right now, but basically like to get into one to get over one, and that's not the healthiest thing. So you take time to learn yourself, focus on yourself, do things to make you happy. If you need a distraction, let it be some sort of like personal development distraction. Like at least do something positive where you could get a positive outcome, because sometimes you genuinely need the distraction. And for the parents listening, also just listen to them without judgment. There's a TikTok trend, we listen and we don't judge.
Yeah.
Very important to just listen. Listen without the scolding. Let them complete their thoughts and their feelings about the situation without cutting them off and jumping in. And it may be hard because, and talking from a counselor perspective, it's easier for me because I could be objective in the situation. When it comes to your child, like, I guess the biggest pain for a parent sometimes is to see your child hurt.
Yeah.
So I know all of what I'm saying easier said than done. But at the end of the day, these are things that your children are gonna have to learn to navigate. So give them this space, whole space for them to do it. Let them be able to come and cry to you about it. Don't rush them. Like, you're still bawling for that, or you're still bawling over here, or you're still bawling over she. Don't rush them, because grief comes in waves. There may be times when you feel like you're over it, and then something triggers it again, and you feel all the feelings again. Like, just be patient and hold the space for them to do it. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
I don't hope my friends are making a heartbreak.
Yeah, and also like just validate.
Yeah,
their
valid. I think that's the
feelings.
most important thing. A lot of teens struggle with feeling like they, like, what happening with them is not validated, and sometimes it's just completely disregarded. Like, well, you know about that. I've had parents who come and say things like, they come telling me about they like bye. You're not supposed to like no bye, and I'm like, that's a diet change the fact that they like it. Like, you say anything will make it disappear. So validate the feeling, because it's an actual. This is the child's reality,
Right.
and you very well know. Well,
Yeah,
you're like,
used.
maybe I remember.
Exactly.
We don't remember, but these things ain't new under the sun.
Exactly. Nothing. Yeah. So validate their feelings. It might have been a month-long relationship.
Validate their
Validate
feelings. It was
it still.
important to them.
Exactly. Maybe not to you, and maybe, as you say, you don't tell them. Keep out of that, and they still went in. Depending on how you treat with that situation, they might know how to do things a little differently, a little better for them the next time, So I think it's all about like preparing. Not preparing them for the next time, like there's always something next, but like growing and learning.
Yeah.
Like, it's all, the lesson don't have to be like your harsh treatment. Like, it shouldn't be. The biggest thing I remember from my heartbreak was how terrible my parent was to me during it. Like, that shouldn't be. And so they want to avoid heartbreak so that they avoid, somebody else's feeling. It should be, I was brokenhearted and my parent was there for me.
Yeah.
Like, they helped me through it.
But your parent knew you were heartbroken?
Mine? When I was walking aimlessly across my bus, I don't think so. I don't think so. Oh, maybe she did. I think I'm somebody who, like, I have struggled with my feelings and validating my own feelings. So, like, a lot of times it would be, I feel it when I'm like, I shouldn't feel that way. And it would always be like that. So it's like, when I'm feeling sad, it's like, why you feeling sad, you little dumb?
Okay.
It was always like that. So I just did wild things in response, instead of just sitting down there and being like, yeah, you're sad and just crying. Like, instead of just doing that, I did.
Naming the emotion.
Yeah,
Very
I
important.
did other things. I was a real. It's embarrassing. But anyways, so let me end by asking. I had another question there, but it's okay. We can come back another time and talk about emotional red flags. One time you were here, we did talk about
Red flags.
red flags, beige flag, green flags. But to end, what type of support do you and other guidance counselors provide for teens who might be dating and navigating relationships?
Okay, well, in the more general sense, I think throughout our services, these things are tackled, at least to some extent. So in the more general sense, we have like classroom guidance sessions. That's essentially when you have like larger group sessions about various topics like values and emotional intelligence and interpersonal skills and those things. So it starts, I think the conversation starts there. For instance, you mentioning the fact that when you were younger, managing emotions for you was essentially
And still now.
okay. So managing emotions for you. Okay, some area you struggle with is naming your emotion and accepting that it's a valid feeling. We actually do lessons that touch on those type of things to help them to understand that what you're
It's
feeling.
okay to be sensitive.
It's okay to be sensitive. What you're feeling is valid. What makes the difference is how you choose to regulate it. That's what makes the difference. So we try to equip them with those tools. And then we also, of course, have like student counseling services where there's individual counseling for a specific reason or group counseling because they're sharing. Let's say, for instance, we have a number of teens who are heartbroken. We could probably have like a support group. I've never done that. I've never had that, but I could see it working. I could see it working.
The heartbreak.
Yeah.
Not the heartbreak hotel, the heartbreak classroom. Okay.
We also we also facilitate like conversations with parents if the teen comes to a place where they need that assistance or they're comfortable or they want to have the conversation with the parent. We facilitate that. We could also do sessions with parents. We bring in speakers about how to assist your teen in dating and those things. Sometimes we bring presenters to talk to them. Outside of like interpersonal skills and relationships, then of course we bring in people like Miss Lucine Pemberton Vaughan to come and speak to the more safe sex end of it. And yeah, that's essentially like the services in a nutshell. And we could do more whenever.
Yeah, as needed.
As needed. But generally, I would say guidance counsel, like the things that I just discussed is kind of like on your agenda to try to address within your schools. And then, of course, if we realize that there's something that's pervasive as it relates to relationships and stuff, then we go in and see how best we could address it also.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Have I? I think I would have had like sessions with couples before too, you know.
Oh, like teen couples.
Yeah, like they come in, like there's an issue.
Oh, like couples counseling.
May want to call it that because I may want a parent vex.
Sorry. No, I'm just like, wow.
But I could recall having, and I think this probably was a couple where the parents were, like, they were aware and okay with it.
Okay.
And let's say one of them come in and they start expressing a challenge, and then eventually he's like, okay, well, they want us to facilitate like a conversation. Those are the more mature students.
That's so impressive. I feel like
I could recall doing that if it's not something that happens often.
Yeah.
But we don't help students resolve conflict on any level of a relationship, whether it's friendship or whatever. So I think in that instance probably was a romantic couple, was, and we had the conversation with them. We had the session with them before.
Okay, that is very. Oh, that's so sweet. That's so no, it's so nice. Oh, I see. I had another question.
What's that?
You know,
we
it was about balancing all of those things. But maybe that's a broader conversation too, like balancing dating, extracurriculars, still doing what you need to do in school, and all of those things.
Well, I think in terms of balancing, one of the first things, like any teen in a relationship or anybody for that matter, should make sure that that relationship isn't like draining you emotionally and distracting you from the other things that you value. If you see that as a result of being in this relationship, things that are important to you, let's say if it's academics or relationships with other friends and family and stuff, start to get affected negatively, then I mean you really got to sit down and evaluate and see whether or not this is something that you could really navigate. To be honest, I would say a lot of times I actually learning from the teens in my school. Like when they come, they'll be very intrigued when they sit and they start to
You
say
be
like
like this.
literally,
Okay.
hand on my shoulder, listening like, wow, you're so mature, and you're
Yeah.
so able, like,
Yeah.
I'd be impressed sometimes when they like after a while, like you see a child and you have no clue, and then eventually they open up and say like, yeah, in a relationship with this person, and this is what's going on with me, and from the outside looking in, this child on top of things like
Yeah.
grades good, passing, on top of things, so I'd be learning from them too.
How to balance.
How
It
do
is.
you balance?
Listen, it is so.
You got, like I said, everything is a spectrum. So
Yeah.
you got those who are
Right.
and then
Yeah.
those really struggling.
So we shouldn't assume anything of everybody, right?
At all. Trust me, that's one thing I
And
learned in this job.
still, I think all of the teens, I think lots of teens balance lots of things
Yeah.
without support and without help. So just imagine what they can do
Yeah.
with it, right? So it's like, what are we shooting for with everybody, and how can we get everybody to, to achieve their version of success, like whatever success means for them? Can we do that, supporting them without denying their very real feelings, attractions, and all of those things?
I think acknowledgement is the first step.
Acknowledgement.
Acknowledgement and validation is the first thing. I mean, at least, like, especially to the parents who may not have want a more open relationship with their teen. Think something that maybe they didn't, and I don't think it's anything that was done deliberately. But for whatever reasons, they're struggling with having an open relationship with the teen, or the teen is struggling to come to them and trust them. You could start with, at the very least, validation of the feelings, and that would build trust, because the minute you invalidate or say that has no place there, conversation done. Or
Gone.
even start to scold,
Yeah.
like, conversation done. And trust me, these teens know that their parents mean well, because they would tell us, like, I know they mean well and stuff, but I just can't have a conversation with them, because the minute I start is, oh, you ain't supposed to, I don't tell you,
Yeah.
like a bunch of dictations versus
Listening.
first and asking questions.
Okay. Final words to parents navigating teen dating.
I think I just said them.
Okay, that was good. Okay.
Listen.
Listen
Like, literally.
to the
like,
song.
literally listen.
Like, that's the young people singing that song. But go
Yeah.
ahead.
And
Or-
maybe not only listen, ask open-ended questions. Sometimes teens, humans, I guess, when they don't want to talk, they're very good at just giving one-word responses, like, "Oh, was school good?"
Yeah.
I mean, as the person asking, you're like, you're just like, "Oh, we have to go next with
Yeah.
this conversation." So, my daughter's far from teenagers. They're in the primary school, grade 1 and grade 3. And when they come and say they like somebody and stuff, my question has to be like, "Oh, you like both them?" Like, always is I trying to get behind the reason behind it. Like, so what's going on? Oh, and another thing I learned from a parent recently, because I was asking questions. So they told me that what they would do is, sometimes we're more comfortable talking about other people than ourselves. So your children might probably come home and talk about what their friends doing,
Yeah.
not necessarily what they're up to. So if they express a certain opinion about what their friends doing, like, this is a segue into, and not being direct, like, also you're doing it too. It could be like, so how come you feel that way about your friend doing X, Y, Z? So try to gain some understanding. And when they see that it's not that you're judging the friend, but you're trying to garner their feelings about the experience. Or why is that your position on it? Like, how come your friend doing bothering you so much? What do you think about your friend XYZ? I think simple things like that, if done often enough, it will kind of break down whatever walls for your child to feel like, well, if I could talk to them about my friend and she didn't react like that, or he didn't react like that, then maybe I could open up about myself too. So maybe if you know you don't have that relationship coming on strong, might push them
Yeah.
away.
Come on, soft.
Come on, soft,
Yeah.
Felix.
Come here. Come on, soft. Welcome me.
Take your time.
Yeah. Yes.
Take-
Ease into
ease
it for
into
the
it.
two of you.
Ease
Yeah.
into it, and maybe ask more specific. Not the general how was school or all this, but try to understand like the thought process. I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we are at after 9. We are at the end of the show. Thank you so much for joining me for this conversation, part 2 of our youth section, teen dating, youth dating conversation. I felt validated. Yeah, it was a decent conversation, and I hope that, folks listening were able to feel a little bit more equipped to have the conversation, or at least inspired. So I'm not saying at least, and or inspired to do further research, because there are lots of tools available online, lots of resources, lots of
And
conversations
sorry to cut you
starters.
off, but we have resources available to us by the very people we hang around. Other parents.
Yes, other
Don't shy away
parents.
from other parents. Like I say, I'm not my children's guidance counselor. I'm their parents, so I don't be going to parents
Yeah.
like what to do.
Right. How did you deal
how did
with
you deal
this?
with
How
this?
did you
What
navigate
to-
this very
Yeah,
challenging
ask
period in my
them.
life?
Ask
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, yeah. So use the resources around you. Use the resources that are available to you. But most importantly, start the conversation. Keep the conversation going and keep listening and keep validating. This is another episode of Pleasure Pulse. Thank you so much for joining us for another conversation. As usual, Pleasure Pulse is a safe space where no topic is too big or too small. As usual, I'm going to wish you a pleasurable evening and say good night until next time. Bye.